Let me welcome you here in my YouTube channel, my Tech Toolbox. Good day. I'm glad that you find it here, and I hope that you're just fine as well.
How to create an effective project plan. Today we will discuss the second phase of a project implementation, the project planning phase. Highlighted in this learning video is the planning procedure that project implementers should follow through to create an effective plan that will serve as ultimate guide for his project execution. You've probably heard of the famous quote, "Failing to plan is planning to fail," and when it comes to project management, this couldn't be more true. Project plans are important because they help to ensure your project has a clear direction. Your project plan will help you to prioritize tasks, allocate resources, and manage your time effectively. A project plan is a comprehensive document that outlines the scope, goals, tasks, schedule, resources, and other essential aspects of a project. It acts as a blueprint for managing and executing a project, ensuring clarity and organization throughout the phases of project implementation. Apparently, a project plan will be created via a project planning process. Project planning is the process of outlining the goals, scope, tasks, timelines, resources, and strategy for completing a project. It's a critical step in project implementation phase that ensures clarity, direction, and efficiency in achieving project objectives. A project plan serves as a roadmap for the project, guiding the team during execution and providing a framework for tracking progress and managing risks. Proper planning is imperative. Project plans not only give you a direction for your project, but they ensure that everyone else involved is on the same page too. This is important for making sure you're all pushing towards the same goal so that your project has the best chance of success. Key aspects of project planning. 1. Defining goals and scope is establishing clear objectives and deliverables is crucial. 2. Creating a timeline is setting milestones and deadlines provides a schedule for completing the project. 3. Allocating resources is identifying and assigning the necessary personnel, materials, and budget for each task. 4. Assigning tasks is determining who will be responsible for each task and their specific roles. 5. Risk assessment is identifying potential risks and developing contingency plans. Communication strategy is establishing clear channels for communication among stakeholders. Benefits of project planning. A. Clarity and direction. Provides a clear understanding of the project's goals and scope. B. Improved efficiency. Helps streamline tasks and allocate resources effectively. C. Enhanced communication. Facilitates clear communication among team members and stakeholders. D. Risk management. Allows for early identification and mitigation of potential risks. E. Increased likelihood of success. Provides a structured approach to project execution, increasing the chances of achieving the desired outcomes. Project planning is the second phase of the project lifecycle. It is undertaken to provide a clear roadmap for project execution, ensuring efficient resource allocation, and minimizing risks to achieve project goals within defined constraints. It helps in establishing clear objectives, defining tasks, creating timelines, and outlining the resources needed to complete a project successfully. The main purpose is to plan time, cost, and resources adequately to estimate the work needed and to effectively manage risk during project execution. As with the initiation process group, to adequately plan greatly increases the project's chances of successfully accomplishing its goals and objectives. Let's go to the project planning procedure, which is the means to achieve these objectives. This project planning procedure flowchart provides guidance for a planner to properly create the project plan. It consists of 7 steps as follows. Step 1. Create work breakdown structure, WBS. Step 2. Estimate work packages. Step 3. Sequencing of task. Step 4. Draw initial schedule. Step 5. Develop budget. Step 6. Assign and level resources. Step 7. Complete the project plan. With the project initiation documents and risk management plan as input to this process, Let us start with step 1 by developing the WBS for all project tasks. Approved Project Initiation Documents, PIDs, consisting mainly of, among others, the project proposal and project charter, are the primary input of the WBS process. Those documents contain essential data and information that serves as basis in creating the project plan. The first step of this procedure is creating the WBS. WBS is an acronym for Work Breakdown Structure. It is a technique based on dividing a project into steps or units of work to be completed in a sequence. It turns one large, unique, perhaps mystifying piece of work, the project, into many small manageable tasks. WBS is the starting place for planning all 3 project parameters: quality, cost, and time. The WBS identifies all the tasks in a project. In fact, a WBS is sometimes referred to simply as a task list. WBS can be set up either in graphical or outline form. WBS can be set up either in graphical or outline format. Depending on the group of audience or user, a WBS can be presented in a graphical format or outline format. The graphical format is usually used for higher-level monitoring, while the outline format is used by the project management and construction groups. We take note that the outline form assigns numbers or WBS codes for task sequencing and schedule preparation processes. The most popular technique in creating a WBS is the exploding technique by breaking down a project into smaller, manageable components like a dismembered Rubik's Cube. 2 primary methods are used: deliverable-based WBS and phase-based WBS. Both methods utilize decomposition, the process of breaking down larger tasks into smaller, more manageable subtasks. Experienced officers of the company or consultants may be involved in creating the WBS. Creating a WBS shall follow these 6 detailed steps as follows. Step 1. Define project scope and objectives. Clearly understand the project's goals and what needs to be accomplished. Step 2. Identify major deliverables. Break down the project into its key outputs or results, such as products, services, or reports. Step 3. Decompose deliverables. Divide each deliverable into smaller, manageable subdeliverables and tasks. Step 4. Organize into work packages. Group related tasks into work packages, which are the lowest level of the WBS. Step 5. Create the draft WBS chart. Visualize the WBS using a chart or diagram, showing the hierarchical breakdown of the project. Step 6. Review and refine. The draft WBS shall be reviewed and approved by higher officers or groups prior to its release to the succeeding processes. Approved WBS can be released and used as input to the next processes. Estimating of work packages and task relationship. Step 2 of the project planning procedure is estimating the work packages. Work packages are the building blocks of a project that enable detailed planning and organization. Estimating shall be done by experienced technical person. In project management, a work package is a deliverable-oriented grouping of project tasks that represents the smallest unit of work within a project's work breakdown structure, WBS. It's essentially a mini-project containing all the necessary information, resources, and activities to achieve a specific goal or result. Decomposition is the process used to estimate each work item in the WBS. In the industry, work item is commonly called pay item. Work packages are created by breaking down a project into smaller, manageable components using a WBS. Each work package is focused on delivering a specific, identifiable result or milestone within the project. Estimating work packages follows 3 basic steps. Step 1. Determine the output or end result of a work package. 1. Quantity. 2. Specifications. Step 2. Design or decide the methodology or process in producing the output or end result. Step 3. Estimate the amount of input resources, material, manpower, equipment, and others needed to produce the output or end result. The design or determination of the methodology estimate of resources and duration of the package shall be undertaken by a competent person or party. Finally, cost of all resources in each package is summarized and the duration of the work is then calculated to complete the whole package. A typical template for estimating a work package follows. This is a typical template for estimating a work package. Additional information on who prepared, reviewed, and approved is recommended prior to release for the next process. A summary list of each resource, commonly called a schedule, shall then be composed. All data shall be taken from the work package estimates. The following documents are the output of estimating work package process. 1. Material requirement schedule. 2. Manpower requirement schedule. 3. Equipment requirement schedule. 4. Other resource requirement schedule. Finally, a grand summary, which is commonly called a project resource requirement schedule, shall be composed to complete this phase. The project resource requirement schedule becomes an input to the budget preparation process. On the other process route, a task list, which is a summary of the work packages containing data and information such as package title, start and end date, duration, and responsible person. It shall be forwarded to the next process called the task relationship process. Let's check the project planning procedure to determine the next process to undertake. The summary document of the work package duration and relevant information is forwarded to a process for sequencing of work package or task. This is done for the synchronization of the many project tasks to ensure that no conflict of task schedule will happen during the project execution. Let's proceed to step 3 for the sequencing the task that we have composed in this process. The third step in the project planning procedure is the sequencing of tasks. It is the process of arranging a series of tasks in a logical order to achieve a specific goal or outcome. It involves breaking down a complex task into smaller, manageable steps and then determining the correct order in which these steps should be executed. In step 3 of the project planning procedure, there are 2 succeeding processes to be followed. First is the sequencing of tasks, by arranging project activities in a logical order, determining dependencies, and establishing a timeline for efficient execution. This process helps ensure that tasks are completed in the right order, minimizing delays and maximizing resource utilization. Second is the tasks relationship process. It defines how different tasks are connected and dependent on each other. These relationships help in organizing tasks, understanding dependencies, and managing workflows efficiently. Types of task dependencies are 1. Finish to start, FS. This is the most common type. Task B, the successor, cannot start until task A, the predecessor, is finished. For example, you can't start painting a wall until the wall is built. 2. Start to start, SS. Task B cannot start until task A has started. For instance, you might begin drafting a document while also starting to research its topic. 3. Finish to finish, FF. Task B cannot finish until task A is finished. An example is that a software feature cannot be released until its testing phase is complete. 4. Start to finish, SF. Task B cannot finish until task A has started. This is less common, but might apply, for example, when you need to start a transition phase before completing the old system. In project management, a predecessor task is a task that must be completed, or sometimes just started, before another task, called a successor, can begin. Essentially, it defines a dependency relationship where one task's completion or initiation dictates the start or end of another task. After all the tasks have been sequenced and their relationships initially are established, a summary document of the work package is prepared and forwarded to the scheduling process. This is done for the synchronization of the many project tasks to ensure that no conflict of task schedule will happen during the project execution. We take note that the list contains a predecessor column that denotes dependency of a task to the other. It shall also be noted that tasks' dependencies and relationships shall be done on the tasks at the same level. For example, task 1.2.1 is at the same level with task 2.1.1. A project implementation schedule is a detailed timeline within a project execution plan that outlines when each task, milestone, and deliverable in a project will be completed. Before a final implementation schedule is submitted for approval, an initial project implementation schedule shall be composed for purposes of scrutiny and evaluation. An initial project execution schedule is a high-level, preliminary timeline outlining the key phases, major tasks, and estimated durations for a project's execution phase. It provides an overview of the project's timeline and direction, helping stakeholders understand the project's scope and estimated completion. This initial schedule is often refined and updated as the project progresses and more detailed information becomes available. Project scheduling is the process of organizing tasks, resources, and timelines to ensure that a project is completed efficiently and on time. It involves breaking down the total work into manageable activities, estimating the time required for each task, and determining the order in which tasks should be performed. Project scheduling involves several key steps to ensure projects are completed efficiently and effectively. These steps include defining the project scope, identifying and sequencing project tasks, estimating task durations and resource needs, developing the schedule, and monitoring progress. Here's a more detailed breakdown of the key steps in project scheduling. 1. Define project scope. Clearly outline the project's goals, objectives, and deliverables. Identify all stakeholders and their roles. Establish a project timeline and budget. 2. Identify and sequence tasks. Break down the project into smaller, manageable tasks. Determine the dependencies between tasks, which tasks must be completed before others can begin. Use techniques like network diagrams to visualize task relationships. 3. Estimate resources and durations. Determine the resources needed for each task, such as team members, materials, equipment. Estimate the time required to complete each task, considering potential risks and dependencies. 4. Develop the schedule. Utilize scheduling tools such as bar charts, Gantt charts, and CPM network diagram to create a visual representation of the schedule. Allocate resources to tasks and define start and end dates. Identify the critical path, the sequence of tasks that determines the overall project duration. There are several project scheduling tools, but very few are commonly used. 1. Project bar chart, normally used for high-level project monitoring and control. A bar chart is essentially a graphical representation of project activities, where each task is depicted as a horizontal bar. The length of the bar corresponds to the duration of the task, while the position along the timeline indicates the start and end dates. 2. Gantt chart. This type of chart is commonly used in construction projects. A Gantt chart is a visual project management tool that displays a project schedule as a horizontal bar chart. It shows tasks, their start and end dates, and their duration over a timeline. It also shows relationships of the different tasks of the project. Gantt charts are used to plan, schedule, and track project progress, making it easier to understand task dependencies and manage deadlines. 3. CPM network diagram. A critical path method network diagram is a visual representation of a project's tasks, their dependencies, and their estimated durations, used in project management to identify the critical path and optimize project schedules. Essentially, it's a flowchart that maps out the order in which tasks must be completed to finish a project on time. Why is project scheduling important? Project scheduling is a fundamental element in ensuring the successful delivery of any project, regardless of its size or complexity. A well-constructed project schedule provides a clear roadmap that outlines all the tasks, timelines, and resources needed to achieve the project's goals. It serves as a critical tool for managing resources efficiently, reducing costs, and ensuring timely project completion. By establishing deadlines, defining milestones, and identifying the critical path, project scheduling helps to prioritize tasks, minimize risks, and streamline workflows. Effective project scheduling also improves team coordination by ensuring all stakeholders are aligned and informed about progress and potential delays. It enhances resource optimization by allocating the right people, equipment, and materials to tasks based on their availability and project requirements. This not only prevents overuse or underuse of resources, but also helps in adjusting the plan as changes or unforeseen issues arise during the project lifecycle. Furthermore, a project schedule allows for better risk management. With a detailed timeline in place, project managers can quickly spot bottlenecks, potential delays, or resource shortages and take proactive measures to mitigate them. Regularly updating the schedule ensures that the project stays on track, making it easier to respond to any deviations and keep the project moving forward smoothly. Ultimately, project scheduling is essential for achieving project success. It enables teams to deliver projects on time, within budget, and to the desired quality standards, thereby increasing stakeholder satisfaction and the overall success of the project. Whether you're managing a small project or overseeing a large-scale initiative, effective project scheduling is key to staying organized, on track, and achieving your project objectives efficiently. By investing time and resources into creating and maintaining a robust project schedule, project managers can significantly enhance the likelihood of their projects being completed successfully and contributing to long-term business success. When choosing a project scheduling tool, key considerations include project size and complexity, team collaboration and communication needs, budget, ease of use, and integration capabilities with existing systems. Also important are reporting features, security measures, and scalability to accommodate future growth. A project budget plan is a plan that details how much you'll spend, for what, and by when. It is an estimated compilation of costs that a particular project will incur in its due course. The budget plan is created in advance and used to monitor spend throughout the project to reduce the likelihood of running out of resources or going over budget. Two main topics will be discussed here. First is the project budget and followed by the project cash flow. A project budget is a detailed financial plan that estimates the total costs associated with a project, including labor, materials, and other expenses, to ensure successful completion within financial constraints. Definition and purpose. A project budget serves as a financial blueprint for a project, outlining all expected expenditures over its duration. It is essential for project managers to estimate costs accurately, allocate resources effectively, and manage the project's financial health. The budget is not a static document. It is continuously updated and reviewed throughout the project lifecycle to reflect actual expenses and any changes in scope or resources. Building the detailed budget estimate. Project budget estimates can be ballparked, calculated with parametric formulas, and determined through apportioning. While these high-level estimates are useful in the process of selecting projects, they are not accurate enough for managing a project. Once the project is approved, there is a need for a detailed, accurate cost estimate. The detailed cost estimate becomes the standard for keeping cost in line. Everyone, customer, management, project manager, and team, is better served when a cost target is realistically calculated from a detailed plan. The team understands how the goal was created, and customers and management can be more confident that the project will stay within budget. Forecasting cash flow enables the project's funding to be planned and available when needed. Finally, during the course of the project, this detailed cost information will help in controlling the project, monitoring the progress, identifying problems, and finding solutions. Here's a more detailed breakdown of key components of a project budget. 1. Labor costs. These encompass all expenses related to human resources, including salaries, wages, benefits, and any training costs associated with the project team. 2. Material costs. This includes the cost of all materials needed for the project, such as raw materials, equipment, software, and even office supplies. 3. Equipment costs. If the project requires specialized equipment, the cost of renting or purchasing it should be included in the budget. 4. Other costs. This category can include travel expenses, training costs, and any other costs directly related to the project. The two subclassifications are A. Overhead costs. These are indirect costs associated with the project, like rent, utilities, insurance, and administrative expenses. B. Contingency funds. These are allocated to cover unforeseen expenses or changes that might arise during the project's life cycle. It's a financial safety net, typically calculated as a percentage of the total project cost. This is a typical format of project budget summary. A project budget typically includes key components like labor costs, material costs, equipment costs, overhead costs, and contingency funds. These elements are crucial for planning and controlling project finances, ensuring it stays within budget. After the final draft of the project budget, a project cash flow have to be created, but with reference to the draft. Project cash flow refers to the movement of cash both into and out of a specific project over a defined period. It's a crucial aspect of project planning and management, helping to ensure a project's financial viability and success. Analyzing project cash flow allows businesses to predict their financial needs, identify potential problems, and make informed decisions about resource allocation. Key aspects of project cash flow are the following. Cash inflow. This represents all the money coming into the project, such as revenue from sales, investments, or financing. Cash outflow. This includes all the money going out of the project, such as expenses for materials, labor, overhead, and other costs. Net cash flow. This is the difference between cash inflow and cash outflow, indicating whether the project is generating or losing money at a specific point in time. This is a typical format of a project cash flow commonly used in the construction industry. We have to take note, however, that the project budget and cash flow are formulated by the finance department, but with reference to the project plan created by the project team and from top management and interested stakeholders. To simplify this aspect, project costs are being derived or estimated by the project team, which comprises of the costs of materials, manpower, equipment, and other costs of support resources. The project budget is formulated by the finance department that incorporates indirect costs such as representation, public relations, regulatory, and others, but those that are relevant to the project execution. Once the draft budget is completed, the finance department will proceed with formulating the project cash flow. This is yet a draft and will have to be forwarded to the next process pending, should there be a need for modification. Project team is aware that resources for the project has been earmarked during the project initiation phase, and the approval was officialized in the project proposal. The project team now assigns resources of the project. This is also a crucial step in the planning procedure because it has to ensure that resource availability and utilization is optimized. This process is called assigning and leveling of resources. Assigning or allocation of resource is the process of distributing time, money, people, and materials to tasks or projects in the most efficient way. Whether you're managing a business or working on a team project, allocating resources wisely is key to success. Effective allocation helps prioritize tasks, prevent wastage, and ensure resources are available when needed. Resource leveling is a resource planning technique that involves balancing available resources and schedules to complete projects on time. In any given project, you'll work with limited resources that need to be used simultaneously to complete tasks within a timeline. It shall be noted during this process of assigning and leveling of resources is to ensure that the project gets a steady supply of resources such that the draft project implementation schedule will be reviewed by the team to evaluate the scheduled coming in and out of the resources is manageable. Process of assigning and leveling of project resources. The process input are 1. WBS and task list. 2. Resource schedules as follows. A. Material requirement schedule. B. Equipment requirement schedule. C. Manpower requirement schedule. D. Other resource requirement schedule. 3. Project execution schedule, final draft. 4. Project budget, final draft. 5. Project cash flow, optional. 2 key steps of assigning and leveling of project resources as follows. Initial step, check resource availability. 1. Determine the specification of the resources for availability in local or foreign sources. Determine the location of prospective suppliers. 2. Determine if the prospective suppliers are capable of delivery according to project schedule. Else consolidation of suppliers shall be arranged. 3. Ascertain the cost of the resources and compare with project budget to determine variances. Final step, resource leveling. A. Assess your project budget and resource schedule against cost and delivery timing from suppliers. B. Where differences of cost and delivery schedule exist, necessary adjustment or modification to the budget, cash flow, and implementation schedule shall be effected. C. The different project resource schedules may need to be modified or adjusted accordingly. Detailed processes for assigning and leveling of each project resource shall likewise be performed. Let's start with evaluating the material requirement schedule. 3 important factors has to be determined. First is the sources of the materials, whether it is available from the local or foreign suppliers. Second is to determine the scheduled dates of utilization, and third is the quantity or volume of the materials to ascertain if prospective suppliers are capable of delivery. WBS code should always be indicated on each task, especially when these data were taken from the work packages. Any of the sources, quantity, or volume, and utilization dates have issues that could impact the project, then the project implementation schedule should be reviewed and modified if necessary. Equipment dispatching or utilization schedule shall be evaluated. There's some important aspects that could affect the project. First is the source of the equipment, whether the project acquire or purchase it itself, to rent it from equipment lessor, or to have it contracted out as equipment services. Second is the availability of the equipment, if those can be used on specified schedule. If for a special kind of equipment, its availability for use shall likewise be considered. Same as the material requirement schedule, each task should have WBS code if data were coming from the work packages. The manpower deployment schedule is the third resource to be evaluated. Foremost is to evaluate the manpower distribution schedule chart to determine the level of the number of personnel required according to schedule. To look into the abruptness of hiring and termination. This is important because the project just cannot hire and fire employees at will. It has to abide and comply with government labor or employment laws and regulations. As with the materials and equipment requirements, its sources have to be identified. Whether for local project hiring, from the company's central manpower pool, or from private manpower placement companies. The availability of both skilled and unskilled personnel have to be recruited and selected properly to ensure the quality of their output for the project. As with the materials and equipment requirement schedule, each task should contain the WBS code. To facilitate leveling of resources, a bar chart, for example, can be used to view the personnel deployment level. A manpower pool capacity line provides the picture of the potential variance in the number of hiring and releasing of workers. Noting the variance, the project team will need to decide on how and where an adjustment have to be made to address the potential issue. This method of leveling may also be applied with the materials, equipment, and other resource requirement. Other project resource requirement schedule shall also be looked into to determine if it do MOT have a significant impact of the project execution schedule, the project budget, and the project cash flow projections. Else some changes in the project plan shall be effected. Same as the materials, equipment, and manpower requirements schedule, each task should contain WBS code. Any changes or improvement in any or all of the project resource requirements will have impact on the following: the project cash flow or cash requirement schedule, the materials and supplies delivery schedule, the manpower hiring and dispatching schedule, the equipment dispatching schedule, the project Gantt chart execution schedule. Any of the 5 resource schedules will warrant the adjustment on the project budget and eventually the project cash requirement or the project cash flow projection. Project team shall be aware of the timing of incoming resources during project implementation. With reference to the project resource requirement schedules, the project execution would be assured of the availability of resources for a smooth and successful project implementation. We now discuss the Step 7, the final step of the project planning procedure, which is the completion of the project plan. The final step, which is Step 7 of the project planning procedure, is on completing the project plan. This is the last step which will ensure that the project plan and supporting documents are complete. In this step, the project team, headed by the project manager, shall collate all documents being generated during the project planning process. The project team shall collate all the project documents that were created during the planning process, including those documents that were coming from previous processes and were used as reference during the planning activities. Relevant copies of the documents shall be reproduced and distributed to all concerned parties and department who are involved either to actually execute the project or will be providing resource support or services. A tabulation of the documents is created and distributed to all concerned collaborators of the project execution phase. These documents are vital references and guides to ensure that project execution is effective and successful.
Before we wrap this thing up, I have one final question to ask. How should I create my project plan?
I have only one simple answer for you. Just follow the project planning procedure. This project planning procedure flow chart provides guidance for a planner to properly create the project plan. It consists of 7 steps as follows. Step 1. Create work breakdown structure, WBS. Step 2. Estimate work packages. Step 3. Sequencing of task. Step 4. Draw initial schedule. Step 5. Develop budget. Step 6. Assign and level resources. Step 7. Complete the project plan. We finally have concluded our discussion on project planning, which is a critical phase in project execution. It lays the groundwork for the entire project lifecycle. It involves creating a detailed roadmap that outlines how the project will be executed, monitored, and completed. Proper project planning helps to minimize risks, allocate resources proficiently, and ensure that all stakeholders are aligned with the project goals. Specifically, planning helps teams stay organized, meet deadlines, and manage resources efficiently and effectively. Project planning offers numerous benefits, including increased efficiency, improved communication, and better risk management, all of which contribute to a higher likelihood of a successful project implementation. Let me invite you as well to view our next learning video on project execution phase that will develop further your competencies and know-how on managing projects.
Before leaving, may I thank you for the time you invested here. Should you still have questions and clarifications to ask, write it in the comment below or email me at mytechtoolbox@gmail.com. If you have learned something that are useful, please give us a like. That's one way to support our channel. You may also want to share this video for your friends to learn. Subscribe now so you will be notified on every new learning videos we post on YouTube. Thank you and good luck.